Welcome back everyone to episode 4 of our Let's Play series on Aurora 4X in the Star Trek role-playing framework. So it was pointed out to me, I should say, in the last video that we do have one problem with our Tortuga class. And that is that this ship, the maintenance clock on it, the maintenance clock will never change because it is a commercial vessel. But these things do still accrue crew months, which is basically the amount of time your crew needs to... eventually your crew needs a break. They need shore leave. Now, that normally doesn't matter for commercial ships. In fact, for a lot of commercial ships, you'll see me check the conscript box because it doesn't matter. What you want to fill in with the least educated or least well-trained crew will still do fine in that role. However, that's not the case with survey vessels. Because they are doing the surveying, this actually is affected by crew morale. So for this reason, our intended deployment time is not appropriate, and we're going to have to fix that. So what I've done is actually just duplicate the ship. You can see 436.5, 436.5. This is exactly the same ship. I just copied the design, and now what we're going to do is manipulate the deployment time. Of all the mistakes we could have made, this is probably the best one because it's one of the easiest things to fix. You can see that our current size is 3535 or 3550 from the, this jumps by 50s, but the exact size you can see here, which is always just this rounded up to the nearest 50. If we increase this is just going to change the number of crew quarters. But you can see that, all right, let's work out the math. We're going to be going at full power for 440 days. So that means that if we wanted to match this, that's like 14 months. Or maybe somewhere between, let's just say 15 months. But that's not the full story. There's two things which we want to weigh against this. One, we want this ship to come back when it's at 30% of its fuel left. So it won't be going for this full time. However, on the other hand, while it's surveying, it doesn't move. So if we kind of consider it for surveying for at least like a third the time, then we can extend this time. Like a very conservative estimate, I think, is surveying for only a third the time. So we can extend this by a third. I'm just going to kind of not do the complete math on that, and I'm just going to pretend that those balance out, and that we want a deployment time of about 15 months. But there is also a little bit of min-max you can do because these are discrete elements. A small one is 1/5 of a normal, and a tiny one is 1/5 as small. Half what a small is. So that's great. Good to know. Oh, and I see. A fighter is 1/5 of a small. I got it. Anyway, these elements are discrete, like I'm saying, but deployment time is actually continuous. You can do 0.01 if you want, or 0.02. And you notice that I'm actually getting 0.01 or 0.02 for free because that's I didn't need to increase the number. The number of crew quarters I need to get this is no more than what I needed to get just exactly 3. So there is some min-max we can do. Let's jump to 15, and then let's just see how much higher we can make it at 2.8. Remember, these are 1/5, so 4 times 0.2 is 0.8. So we're at 2.8 right now. We can go to 16 is still 2.8, which puts us at an exact size at 3600. I like that. Let's see, can we go to 17? No, now we jump up, but I'm not going to do the 0.2 whatever. Okay, we could get 16.2 or whatever, but I'm not going to bother with that because that's getting a little too min-maxy for me. But if you want, you can. I really think ships should be left at complete months. My only exception to that, as we'll see later, is PDCs. Because I think that it makes sense for PDCs to be on a 2-week rotation for crew. And so I usually set those to a deployment time of 0.5. That's just my own role-playing thing, that 15 days is enough for 2 weeks of work and 1 day for personnel to overlap. Anyway, I just in my head, the role-playing theme works out with only 0.5 deployment time for PDCs. Not that it really matters because PDCs, since you're putting them on Earth, their tonnage is not even that big of a deal. But I still do that for my own, that's what I consider a shift at a PDC is 2 weeks. Okay, so we've done it, 16. I don't know, let's see. The important thing to note, there is a kind of complicated guide to how you refit a ship correctly. You have to be within 20% of the build point cost of the original ship. This is if I want my new class to be able to be built at Civ Dock number 2, which is tooled for Tortuga. So it currently, we can see, can build a Tortuga Mark II, which means it's also can transfer a ship, a Tortuga, to a Tortuga Mark II. So the good news is we are currently within that acceptable range. The actual acceptable range is kind of hard to decipher. It's kind of convoluted. You need to be within like 20% of the build point cost for the additions. So the things I've added are, we don't have to worry about things you take off. Those are just free, I guess, which is already confusing that it's free to remove stuff, but it costs money to add stuff. So what did this thing have? It had 1 crew quarters and 3 small crew quarters. And the new one has 2 crew quarters and 4. So basically we add one of these and one of these, which add up to a total cost of 28. Is 28 less than 20% of 437? Yes, it is. So we're okay there. But you also have to add into that equation 10% of the tonnage difference. Yeah, you can see it's a very confusing thing. Now, the tonnage difference for us is like 70, so it'd be 7. 7 plus whatever it was, 28 is 35, and you can see that 35 is still within the 20% difference you can have or whatever. Now, I don't remember the exact numbers. I'm just like ballparking it here, but suffice to say, if you want to know exactly, you have to go to the guide for it, which I have it pinned in the thread, the Aurora 4X thread on my Discord, but you can also just search for it, something about Aurora 4X refit, and it'll probably come up. So the Tortuga Mark II is going to be our refit, and you know what? I'm just kind of looking at it, and I'm thinking, why not just make the deployment time a little higher? Because if it does a lot of surveying, or if it sits around for a while, another thing to consider is when it refuels like instantly. However, the timer to roll back the different things, including maintenance time, service time, and also crew time, is not instant. So for maintenance life, which we never have to worry about on commercial vessels, this rolls back at only 3-to-1. And you can think about this as a military ship will be checked out for like 3 months of a year's time. So it's only actually deployed for service and active for 9 months out of a year. That might be a bit harsh. It might be closer to 10. I don't know. I haven't done the math, so I probably am best off not challenging Steve on this. I still think it's a little bit harsh, but it's fine. It works well as a game mechanic that you have to roll back the maintenance clock. And this rolls back, like I said, at 3-to-1, which means that, like I said, it's like if you have a year deployment for your maintenance, you need to spend 3 months of that year getting things checked out, making sure everything's still working fine. It makes sense. Military ships definitely spend a long time with reviews, getting all their parts checked out. Now, that's what it is for maintenance clock. For crew months, or you can think of it as shore leave, they need a much less amount of time. It's 7-to-1 is the ratio. Now, I don't really understand it. That means that they spend a month and a half out of the year on vacation. I thought about it, and at first I was like, that's a lot of vacation time. 6 weeks of vacation time? Like, that's a lot. But if you think about it in terms of the fact that they don't have weekends, then it makes a little more sense. So they probably only have like a week of vacation time if you put in all the weekends that they are working full time. Okay, so that all said, basically we designed a new Tortuga Mark II, which will be our first refit, but we'll still leave Tortuga Power out there until he gets done with the first 3 months. Because the amount of time it's going to take him to refit, probably about a month, we might as well leave him out there, get his get his shore leave timer ticking up, so that when he does the refit, he can get his shore leave at the same time. It doesn't make sense to bring him back now. I also was just about to say we might as well increase this because, like I said, when you come back, if we don't want to give him that shore leave, we could just send him out immediately. But that only makes sense if we increase the deployment time a little more. However, this does jump the class up. Maybe 16 is still okay. 17. Let's go to design. Can we get to 18 at 3 and 3? We can. 19. We can get to 19 at 3 and 3. Can we get to 20? Wow, we can get to 20 at 3 and 3. 21? No. A 20. This is, I mean, now we're at almost 2 years of deployment. You know what? I think it's going to be fine to just leave it at 16, which is what we originally had. And we'll be okay with that. Okay, so that's done. Now, the people of Earth are really excited that their first vessel is out. Unfortunately, in terms of minerals, the moon was a bust for us, which is not too surprising. I mean, we already think the moon is basically a bust for really any useful minerals. But this is also the trans-Newtonian materials, which are buried deep in the core of the planets or the system bodies. So I guess we should be looking at, like, the moon had a totally new chance to possibly have minerals, but it didn't. It didn't for us. And I don't think that that's that unusual for my playthroughs. The moon usually doesn't have anything. However, now the Tortuga power is out to explore Mercury. Mercury and Venus traditionally have something, so we'll be very interested to see what they have. In the meantime, what we want to do is keep pushing towards our freighter and our colony ship. To do that, we basically just need to wait for CivDoc 01 to get to, okay, very soon. It's going to be at 20,000. We need this one to get all the way up to 30,000. In fact, we can even start mocking up the ship designs. I've also decided that for our commercial ships, what I'll do in the spirit of the Federation is I'm going to rename all these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick countries, different countries in the world, and grab, I'll just rotate. So we'll start at the African Union, and I'll just pick something here. So like this will be, I guess, the freighter. The Sonia. I kind of like that. The Sonia class freighter. So this will be our freighter. I think I could make this the colony ship. We'll just leave it as the freighter for now. And I'm also going to create, well, let's create the Sonia first. And then let me, for inch increase, what would we do? The Osiris is nice. We'll do the Osiris. Yeah, okay, so we'll have the Osiris as our colony ship, and we'll have the Sonia as our freighter. I like that. That sounds nice. And I'll just keep picking. I'll go down the line, so the next ship we'll have will be the Ancient Greece. We'll get, you know, maybe the... there's a lot of interesting names you could use here. This is actually a very cool naming scheme, even for your military ships. But like the Hera-class freighter, or whatever we're doing next. Also, I have one name, which I can't... Let's see. I don't have my Aurora names up this time, but I did have one person, I think Exvira or something like that, who chose to be a logistics ship. If you want to be a freighter, just let me know, and I'll name the next freighter after you. But I interpreted your request more as being like a tanker for the fleet, or a collier, which is going to carry missiles. So we'll work on the Sonia first. The reason why I'm going to design this is because just like we wanted the Mark II to be built out of the Tortuga's shipyard, we want the Osiris to be built out of Sonia's shipyard. In fact, it's going to be the other way around, I think, because the Osiris, I don't know, you guys probably haven't seen this, but the cryogenic transport modules are just horribly expensive to build. And we'll need a lot of those. So what we're going to do is just get a cargo hold, standard cargo hold for our freighter. We have this engine, which we already designed with these ships in mind. What is going to be sufficient for us? One is getting us 350. And we do need cargo handling as well. So let's add, we're down to 2 days and 2 hours. That's still not acceptable. 2 minutes, I'm sorry. We're down to 1 day and 1 minute. That's still probably too much. We're down to 16 hours and 40 minutes. Considering the amount of time these are going to be spending going back and forth between the moon, which is like even at this speed, it would be like a minute or two. Just a very short amount of time. We probably should focus more on decreasing the load time and not worrying as much about the impact it has on our speed. So let's just go another cargo handling. And that brings our load time down to 12 hours. What's the next one do? All right, I don't think the jump from 12 to 10 is that big of a deal. So we'll leave it at, because these are expensive too. I mean, all these things we have to build. The cheaper you can make your ships, the better, right? So we have, unfortunately, we don't have the improved cargo handling, so we'll just have to make do with this. But yeah, 12-hour load time, it seems about right to me. The next thing we need is some amount of fuel, not just one storage. This is not going to get us very far. To get an idea about what we're looking at here, if we want to go, just the inner solar system itself is roughly, I mean, this is to go to Saturn, is 800 million. So there and back is 1.6 billion. If we want to go as far as... Wait. Oh, sorry, Jupiter. If we want to go as far as Saturn, then let's do it this way. This would be really, really hard to see. This would be about 1.5 billion on its own. So going to Jupiter's 1.6 round trip. Going to Saturn, already a 3 billion round trip. And we'll probably want to be going to like Neujmin and places like this. I would consider, it'd be useful for us to consider being able to go all the way to like this point, so we need at least 3 billion. Sometimes you want to make multiple trips. All right, let's just at least put a minimum of 20 billion on our freighters. The very first freighters probably won't be going out of the inner solar system very often. But if we wanted to go to, like, let's even just one last time consider, what do we want to go to Uranus? This is 3 billion. Okay, that's 3 billion, so we could get it done in 6 billion. Just to keep that in mind, now let's go ahead and design it. It's got a range of 4 billion. We'll probably put 3 fuel storage then on this, because we can already get 9 billion out of this, but if we grab one more, because they're not that expensive, 29,100 up to 29,150, they're very cheap. And now we can get 13 billion, which is still not much. I think 20 billion is a better number, but that's an acceptable amount, I would say. Now, last thing to add is the extra engines, I think. Yeah, so let's go ahead. And these are unfortunately pretty big. They add 2,500 tons per. We get one, we're up to 630. I think we probably want at least 3. 874. And what if we got one more? Okay, actually, I'm thinking about this. If we want to get our ship out there as fast as possible, let's try to keep it under 35,000 tons. Because the next upgrade we have is going from 20 to 30,000 tons, is a 10 increase. But then we can actually half the time for that final upgrade. Instead of going from 30 to 40, we can just go from 30 to 35 if we just reduce the speed slightly. And I think this is a very reasonable ship. We can. Do we need the extra fuel storage? It's so cheap to put on there. Okay, let's look in terms of build points, which is actually pretty expensive because we can't prefab. We'll be doing the same thing. We'll be prefabbing a lot of things with industry, but we can't do that with fuel storage. So 432, 422, I think that's a really minor change. So I'm going to go ahead and make the extra jump to get us up to 15 billion. I would have preferred actually to have the large storage tank, but we didn't get that done in time. Or at least, I don't think we'll get it done in time. LG? Where's my LG guy? Yeah, large is another 1,000. He still has 4,000 to go on this. Yikes. Yeah, it's unless we really dedicated a lot of research points to him, which I don't want to do, we won't be able to get it in time. Okay, well, 20 minutes, we haven't even progressed a single minute. So let me just do one other thing. One other change. Well, we can get these ships designed first. We'll just do that, and then it'll be out of the way for the whole episode. Now, the next thing we want to do is actually get the Osiris class. So if we consider this finished, and I think this is fine, it'll have to refuel really often if we want to do multiple trips, but I mean, that's just the way it goes. So the minimum deployment time is 3. We're going to use this as a conscript because we don't need any kind of morale. Just basically common Joes can come in. They don't need that much training. They can learn on the job even. Now let's copy this design. And this new one we're going to call, again, whoops, not auto rename, damn it. The Enterprise. Well, we can't use the Enterprise anyways. That's reserved, so we'll get the Osiris. Now this Osiris class is not going to be a freighter anymore, but a colony ship. And we're going to remove the one cargo holding, which is really, really expensive. It's 25,000 tons. And we're going to put on our cryogenic transports. Now you can see that it's 10 to 1, so we'll just put 10 on, which will give us a capacity of 100,000 storage for like colonists. There it is. Now if we compare the two ships, 34,500, Sonia is 34,350. The bigger thing to note is this is 432 and the Osiris is 1,400 build points. The important thing, though, is you don't... Remember, to remove something doesn't cost anything. So to remove these 10 cryogenic transports, it doesn't cost a thing, even though they're extremely expensive. I'm not sure that entirely makes sense, but I'm pretty happy that the complication of this game didn't get even more complicated by having to factor in what the cost to remove something is. All we need to take into account is the cost to add something. So on our base 1400, we can go 20% of that, which is, oh God, you're making me do math, 280. And a single cargo hold is 50. So we're just absolutely perfect. In terms of exact size, I mean, this is really minor. We're talking about like 100 ton difference. That's another 10 on top of 50. Okay, we're well within the 200 or so that we're allowed to do, which means that if we save these designs, you can just look over here at DAC. If we make this the primary class for a shipyard, the Sonia will also be able to be built from it. And it's a little confusing because if you look at their build points, it's like wildly different, 1400 versus 400. But again, that's just an artifact of being able to remove things for free. So I don't think there's anything else we need to do on these. Probably somebody will correct me on something we should have done better. But that means we can get those out as soon as we have 35,000 as our size. So those kind of things are done. Now the important thing is to sit back and watch the Tortuga Power explore, survey the different planets. And the interesting thing is going to be to see what will he find. Now there's another whole min-max thing I could talk about here and determining which is the best thing to do. Survey next nearest body and survey next 5, but we're just going to leave it on next 5 and we'll be doing jumps of like 8 hours because I think that should be pretty reasonable to see our Tortuga Power zip around. Okay, one final thing, I also want to get the research rate up a little bit quicker. So I am going to drop this person. Basically, I want to throw everything onto Alan up to his max pretty much. Just until I get the research rate, because then everyone else's research rate speeds up. Again, this is just building towards the future, and then we'll put a whole bunch more labs back on Madeline. Okay, that's it. All right, jumping ahead. So, the people on Earth really want to know, now that we can kind of take a big breath and re-enter our role-playing mechanic. The people on Earth are really excited and are building their first or designing their first freighter, their first colony ship, and they're trying to get the shipyard up to the size necessary to be able to build those. I mean, our shipyard started out at 1,000, and we need, even the commercial one started out at 10,000. We realize we need a shipyard 3 times, even larger, almost 4 times that size to be able to construct the ships we are now imagining. I think that's already a cool thing. Like, okay, we built this first shipyard to handle this size ship, and now we didn't even realize how big we're going to need these ships in order to do what we want them to do. So go ahead and keep expanding those, which we will be doing in the background. But now let's kind of focus on the Tortuga Power as he zips around. Okay, so he's getting Mercury done, and he's done. Did you find anything on Mercury? I don't know. Our time period is going by very quickly. It's going to Mars. Okay, and there it is, right on cue. 10,000 tons have been added to SIPDoc number 1. We will increase that again. This is the one we need to get up to 3,500. Set activity. It looks like it's going to be... Okay, so this is taking about 9 months to do. If I can get this research done quickly, we can probably try to jump a couple ranks of... Oh, it's already queued next. The shipyard operations. If we can reduce this, like maybe from 5 to 10, if we can get 5 and 10 done before December, the last refit, the last expansion from 30 to 35,000 will take a little bit less time. I think that's in our best interest. It's in Earth's best interest to get our freighter and our colony ship out ASAP. Another thing we're going to do, obviously, is by the time we start doing the 30 to 35 expansion, we need to start building the things. The first thing we're going to want is a freighter, because there's no point in having a colony ship unless there's infrastructure on the moon to support a colony. So the first thing we need is a freighter to transport infrastructure there. And I think we already had people hard at work to build the infrastructure we need. We're at 100, and that'll all be sent off to the moon. Take a breath, and what has Tortuga Power found? Okay, Duranium. I see Duranium at 4.7 million. I'm already amazed. Chromium, I don't know what is that used for. Anything interesting? Okay, look, it's Mercury. Sorium at, whoa, what, wow. Galisite and Banderite, I don't know if those are interesting at all. But the Sorium and the Duranium, these are two huge things. Really nothing in terms of Macrasium there, 0.1. I mean, also okay, getting a little ahead of myself. The 0.2 rating on Venus is going to make it very difficult to extract that kind of stuff. Oh, we also have Mars. Neutronium 0.6, boronide 0.4. Okay, so it looks like we have a good variety of the minerals, but Sorium at 1.8 million, I'm pretty happy about that. That's a big thing. What we're going to eventually do is just take a look at our, not shipping lines, the next one. We're eventually just going to take a look at our geological survey report to get the status of all the different planets, but it's already interesting to see what we found there. Now, the next thing I want to do is actually just, since he's already here, I know Whipple and Faye probably have some interesting stuff on them. I'm going to force Tortuga Power. Let's just force him to do a little bit of work. Maybe go Icarus. It's going to be a little bit hard because we're going to have to get... I don't want to do all the asteroids. Never mind. I do want to go over to Whipple and Faye, so we will get the comets done. Let me just get him to do Whipple and Faye. So let me remove all. Whipple, Faye. Here's Faye, and the next one, Whipple, right above it. Geological survey, add Alt-A, and Whipple, add Alt-A. Anything else I want to get done before we... And then I guess he'll just reset and he'll do the next nearest 5 bodies from there. Okay, good. Because I know that those will be probably interesting, and I'd like to know before they move out to the outer system. I don't actually know how far we can find out. Comet path. Yeah, so they actually don't go beyond the outer system. They just, their orbit, I mean, well, it would be an orbit, but their direct line just goes out to about Jupiter, which is not too bad. Okay, so moving on again. He's going over to Faye, and then he's just going to start bouncing around from there. And it looks like he hit the inner asteroid belt, so this is going to take him a long time to start doing all those things. Now, again, I have to kind of watch out because his deployment time was only 3 months. So very soon we're going to have to do our retrofit or our refit. Oh, retrofit, refit, what's the difference? I guess refit's probably just short for retrofit anyway, right? But, excuse me. We'll have to do that refit very soon. I can probably take a peek right now. What's he at? Oh yeah, he's still got 2 more months, so we're doing okay. And research. EM sensors sensitivity 6 is done. Where is Aaron Norman? So let's get another sensors and fire control up. Active grav, always really important. I mean, just wait. Have we done thermal yet? No, we've done EM. Let's do thermal as well. Let's grab that one next. Then we can do active again after that. Just so we have all of the different sensors, at least at the most, the smallest, like tech. Okay, we gotta do 8 hours. I'm doing 8 hours partly so we can see him zipping around, but partly also that helps him make decisions more appropriately about which 5 to survey next. Because while he's, if he finishes the 5th one, he waits until, let's say he finishes it at 1 minute into the next tick cycle, he'll still wait the rest of the 7 hours and 59 minutes until the next tick expires before he resets his next 5. So the longer tick size you have, the less efficient your surveyors will be. Which is only really important in, like, when you have this massive inner asteroid belt, because, that's weird, they went down there. Inactive research lab. Yeah, because there's so many, he in the amount of time, the 7 hours, he probably could have gotten, another 15 asteroids done, so. I'm just going to give everything to Alan because it is true. Also, in order to get the shipyard operations, we're not going to need the next tech from Jordan, Dr. Jordan, anyway, until the next line of ships, which probably won't be for another 5 years or so. So we're just going to push on for everything that'll help us get the new ships out as fast as possible. It'll be fun to see when Tortuga Power makes his big jump out. Oh, did it already happen? Oh, he's on to Jupiter now. The Jupiter belt. Alright, he's back in now. I think 8 hours is like the perfect middle ground between going too small movements and too big. If I do it like a day, he'll be like, 3 times this jumps. So, And now he's actually on to Jupiter, which is going to take a while by itself. And actually, knowing what Jupiter has, Jupiter or Saturn, one of them should have a big thorium deposit. And we're already pretty happy that we got a big thorium deposit on, it was Mercury. It's another thing we could eventually consider doing, if I untick for a second, is starting to build into the automated mines and to the mass drivers. Drop those off with our freighters. Of course, we need a freighter to get that done anyway. So there's no point in doing that until we have our freighter up and running. But it's something to think about. Okay, let me just do a quick check. Civilian. Oh my god. Okay, so this is important. Good thing we caught this. Tortuga Power's rating is falling, so it's time to bring him home. Now, he has been out for 4 months already. That's amazing that we've had a crew of about 55, if I'm not mistaken. What was it? 55 or so? 200. No, wrong ship. Yeah, 55 crew out there for 4 months, living in space. It's just awesome to think about already. So we'll get him to cancel all his tasks. You see his fuel is fine. He's at 81%. But we're going to get him to go home. I'm just going to have him move too. He doesn't need to rewind or do anything like that because there's no maintenance clock on commercial ships. But when he gets home, he's going to be treated with... Oh, and I'll also have to remove his special orders. Otherwise, he's just going to start surveying as soon as we get him home because he'll be doing nothing. No orders will be set. So he'll set the next 5 closest. We don't want that to happen. So let's get him back home. And there it is. He's done his orders. We have to do a little time manipulation because that does stop time in the middle of the tick. But that's okay. Let's see. Now we want him to rebuild. So we'll go over to our CivDoc02. Now we want to refit the Tortuga Power from its Mark I variant to the Mark II. Now this will take 3rd, July 19th, about a month. So not bad. He didn't need all that. If he was at 7 months deployment time, this is how much time he would need for shore leave, but it'll be a little overkill. Still, we're not doing almost anything, so it doesn't take very many resources at all to make this change, and it doesn't take very much time, so I think it's completely worth it. We'll add that task, and very soon we'll see the Tortuga Mark II out and running, and we won't have to worry about that deployment time. They'll be probably running low on fuel before that we have to worry about anything else. All right, so now we can actually just get this time back up to where it should be. 3, 1, 1, 8, 8, 1, 1. Now we can do 5-day chunks because we don't have to worry about anybody exploring. So Amber Hughes' research bonus is now up to 40%. How is everything going on the science field? We gotta check in on our scientists, just see how they're doing. All right, well, this was, if I'm not mistaken, it was like at 22 or something, 23 maybe. So, well, now that it's so close away, it's only going to drop us down to, I mean, it's almost not even worth doing. But because we have the next line queued, it is important to keep the labs high because we'll get the next one that much faster. In fact, if we're very quick about it, we might even be able to... Oh, yeah, never mind. We're already into the second to last. We're in the penultimate upgrade for the dock. So we can't beat... All the upgrades we have that are done from now in December is the best we can do from only our upgrade from 30,000 to 35,000. Still, that's... I think it's still worth doing. We can maybe shave a month off the deployment time. So that'd be nice. I mean, a month off the construction time. All right, so we'll keep going at 5-day chunks. The crew of Tortuga Power has completed shore leave and is fully rested. Well, your ship isn't quite ready yet, though. I can imagine them walking back down to the docks and looking at the new crew quarters being added. What's their... They're still at 55 crew, so they're just going to look at much more spacious crew quarters. Well, that's something anybody would be happy to see. Okay, so we'll go to 5-day ticks until that ship is complete. There it is. Tortuga Power, Tortuga Mark II class as refitted. Very good. We also want to make sure we get this done first. We have one inactive and something finished at the same time. I need to make sure because it's inactive. We didn't have a person die, right? Good. Just making sure. Because sometimes you get free labs because one of the ones who only has one lab has perished. And they don't stop on that. They only stop when the research lab becomes inactive. So we'll add that here, and then we'll make we'll get Hughes a backup project. Oh, looks like it's just going to be terraform rate very low. And back we go. Oh, no, before we do that, we need to send the Tortuga power out once again. So we're going to once again put your... You can actually just do this, Geo. Survey Nexus 5 system bodies. It's a quick way of putting the default orders. You can see that now it's established that. We might as well, while we're here, refuel. Only makes sense. And then once they're done with that, they'll just begin their default orders, which I find acceptable. They'll start at the nearest one from here, and then they'll work out from there. Okay. And now we're going to go back to 8-hour ticks then. Technically, the Tortuga power is a little bit slower now by like I don't know if you noticed, like 60 or so, a speed of 60. It's down from like 28 something to 2770, I think. Okay, CivDoc 2 is done. And research rate is done. That's important. I still think, okay, we can get this done by September, and we can get the next one after that, which is going to be important to do. 10%. Where's the shipyard? Oh, it's okay. It's currently being done, so I have to put on... I'm just going to put a dummy Q item on so we don't lose any Q points. But as soon as he's done with this, I'm going to switch up. It's not going to be expand civilian economy. It'll actually be switched back to shipyard operations 10%. That was all we needed to do? Yeah, no. We need to manage shipyards as well and get CivDoc 2. This one's not as crucial. But it's I want both of these at 50,000 at least, so we'll keep expanding. I don't recommend that you do continual expansion. It always happens that you end up being at like 250,000 before you realize, and you stop, and it's just a big waste of resources. But let's push on. So we'll probably have to zoom out now that Tortuga Power is leaving the inner solar system. Now that he has the capability to be deployed for a really long time, we feel comfortable sending our people to the outer solar system, which is really exciting. There's so much to explore still. So get to it, Mr. Tortuga Power. Might be able to speed up to 1-day ticks now that he's so far out there that there's going to be less going on. And I haven't actually looked at the state of the solar system. We'll probably do that at the very end of the episode, however far we've gotten, however far Tortuga Power has gotten. Interesting to keep a track of our date here as well. Okay, what was this notification? Oh, good. She increased her administrative rating, Dr. Jordan, so that we can give her more than just 15 labs. That's nice. Yeah, so let's put a perfect. I was going to say pause here for a moment. Oh, this is the construction yard one. Good. So let's instead switch that over to... He's basically at his max labs anyways. We can just max him out. Why not? Get this done as fast as possible. Can switch him over to 10% instead. So we'll queue that. But oh no, actually we got to cancel this. There's no way to like change his current job. Or at least not that I'm aware of. Maybe there is. Somebody let me know in the comments if there is a way you can do that. We'll start doing this instead. And now we'll queue. Our economy's probably taken a bit of a hit just because we're building ships and all that stuff. So I will actually expand the civilian economy, although it's just about to become much less of an issue as soon as we establish a colony on the moon. So as long as we can hold out for another year or so, we should be okay. What else? That, and then expand the civilian economy. Once that happens, I'll bump up Dr. Jordan again by a bunch. And we'll start doing... Weird. Why? So this is the same problem. We had our tick on the 28th at 8 o'clock. So I think this is when new 5-day ticks now happen. I don't know how this happens, and it's kind of frustrating to me. I don't want it to happen. I want it to happen at the 1st, the 6th. You know, it's really easy. It's hard for me to remember. Yeah, here it is. It's so weird. I have absolutely no idea why. I think it was because the ship stopped short. We can fix that maybe just by giving a ship to finish a mission at like the 11th or the 1st at like 1 o'clock. But I don't like that. I wish that the industry tick still happened when I know it's going to happen, which would be the 1st, 6th, etc. at 0000. So that's kind of a gripe I have. Amber Hughes is up to 50% research bonus. That's remarkable. Which is why you have all your different researchers out here. We still have not got a defensive system scientist. So we long have we prayed for one, an end to the drought, but still prayers have not been heard. All right, how are we doing on time? 40 minutes, probably about time to call this video to a close. I guess I'll do a few auto turns at one day, and maybe in November we'll start our building of the engines for our vessels. We're gonna need 4 engines, and we're gonna need 4 cargo handling systems, which we can all prefab at our industry. All the while, we're slowly grinding out research labs from our... And how are we doing? I didn't check. Okay, we're +5. The number of industries we're building are slowly catching up to our production of duranium, or mining rate of duranium. We're going to hit equilibrium very soon. Probably about when this finishes, I'd say. It looks like our mining rate and all that matches up with just about having 1,000 total construction factories. This might be a little bit overtaxing. We might be at a slight deficit, but that's okay. The people of Earth will overcome, as we always have. All right, so this will be finishing very soon, and then we'll take some of his labs away. So let's get to that point at least. My 1 day clicks. I thought it was going to happen... Okay, there, it happened now. Oh, that's right. November 30th should have happened at December 1st, but our tick is at December 3rd. So it's actually really important to remember this because you have to plan out your your completion date based on this. And that's why it's the most annoying thing, because in order to get the completion date stuff done correctly, it's going to be annoying. All right, so this is done. We give him another backup queue. That's probably increased construction rate. I think that makes sense. Let's see, anything else we need? Oh, ship building rate would also be huge. That would also help. So let's do that next, and then we'll do construction rate after that. Now let's also start thinking about diverting some of our industry to prefabbing these. And you can see I already had like 0.03 done. We're going to end up needing, let's just make sure I get the numbers right. One of these is 3 engines. So I need 6 more engines total. Now, I only want to build 3 of them to start, so I'm going to modify this to be this many and see how long that takes. Let's see if it was well, we can do the math ourselves. One of these engines, I think we already have, is 50. We have a new production rate. Let's get off the calculator. 16,000. I'll probably do this off camera for the next stuff, but we'll just quickly, come on, go. Okay, we have 15,700. Gives us a rate of 43.6 per day. 43.6, so this will be done in basically like at 100% it'll be done in just over a day. But 0.6 times 5 equals divided by 50. All right, we need, damn it, I did it wrong. 50, okay. Times 5, 218. So we want 50 divided by 218, and that's 23%. So we want this thing on 23% to be able to be finished in a 5-day chunk. We can go a little bit over. So we might, and we need 3 of them done. So that means not 25, we need 75%. So, wow, this can be done in a 3-day chunk. Okay, let's look at cargo handling. What is this one? This is only cost 10. So basically, we don't need to worry about doing the freighter at all until until like right before the shipyard has expanded to the appropriate point. So we're not even going to worry about it until somewhere around April or March, whenever the like maybe a month ahead of time for building the freighter. And then when we do that, we might as well, because in the meantime, we can just get more research labs, more construction factories out. Might as well do that. So we'll just keep pushing ahead. Did I end up getting? Yeah, we're good. Tortuga Power's return to the inner solar system nearly. Is that Uranus? There is this is the big one, the CivDoc number 1. Now, that means that our research... Oh, good. Both of those ticks worked, actually. So, yeah, I didn't... Wait. Something's wrong here. No, something's right. Brandon Allen's still doing that one. Probably I should cancel this, but... It's fine. He'll finish in... Well, we're going to drop him down a bit. Let's get the reactor tech back up. Okay. So that'll happen... I mean, that didn't really even decrease until 30. So 30th January. He'll be finishing it pretty soon, a month. And then this will now be finished very, very quickly, which is good. So we can get our power and propulsion tech back up. But importantly, the shipyards. Another 10,000. No, not another 10,000. So if we needed another 10,000, this would have taken us, only to July. That means actually we're going to get this done pretty quick. April. It's not that super quick. But this is all we'll need to be able to build our first freighter. And I really wanted to get this out in this episode, but I can see definitely already by the time, there's no way we're going to make it. So I guess what we'll do is we'll put a cut in here, and I'll pick up in the next episode where we can actually, off camera, I'll do all the math we need for all the different parts. I'll try to do the math for the Osiris as well, which, remember, those ship components for the cryogenic transports, we need 10 of them, and they're 100 each. So this is actually going to take a significant amount of time from our industry. But still much faster to get them done with the prefab industry stuff than make our shipyard build them at the docks. So let's just talk about resources. We've probably covered a lot of the planet. In fact, if I go F9, system icon, the sun, always takes a moment to load because it has a lot of system bodies. We can kind of get an idea of how many things we've surveyed just by scrolling down this list and seeing, okay, there's a lot of things that don't have the S by it, but there's also a lot of things that do. So where I would say we're probably like 2/3 to 3/4 done, maybe even more than that. So with all those planets researched, what kind of wonders does our solar system, the Sol system, hold for us? Wow, that's terrible. Okay, so there's kind of hope there's a few comments out there with some duranium we're missing. There is not. I mean, we can get this. I mean, we can put like a gajillion mining automated miners on Venus to try to get this duranium out. But wow, what I originally thought was looking very good with this like initial Venus prospect is actually looking terrible. Accessibility of 0.2, that just means that we only mine at 1/5 the normal rate. Even at mining at the rate we're going on Earth, which is, I think we had 100%. It might not be there now. Let's just take a look. Yeah, we have accessibility 1 on duranium, and we're still barely breaking even. So if you cut this down by a factor of 80%, if you reduce this by a factor of 5, we would be in serious trouble. I thought I had F9 pulled up. Reopening it is such a pain. I think I closed it, but that's okay. We'll just go to this one, which is all I really care about right now. So we're going to need to expand. I mean, thank God we're going to build our jump ship by 2063. We're going to need to find other sources of duranium, barring some huge discovery, which I very much doubt we'll have on one of the remaining comets or whatnots. So that's really troubling. Let's see what else we have. Okay, neutronium I don't really even care much about. I don't know enough to care about neutronium. I only know enough to look at tritanium, thorium, mercasium. So let's just take a look at the general status of neutronium anyway. Okay, we have 0.6 with over 1 million on Mars, so I'm going to consider this enough. not to worry about neutronium ever. Corbomite actually looks really poor as well. Temple Tuttle has something, but considering it only also has coronium, which we have a huge supply of on... I thought we had a huge supply of it. Let me go to coronium. Was that the one that had... Yeah, we have 16, almost 17 million supply of it on Venus, but at 0.2, I mean, that's really hard to do anything with. So Corbomite, another strange one. Man, this system is not... I don't think Sol has a lot of resources. Maybe I'm just under... Maybe I got really lucky with my previous playthrough, but from what the values I have in my mind, these are all low. Tritanium. Well, looks a little bit better here. We have 3 at over 50,000. That's something. And because they'll be mined very quickly because accessibility on the comments is always really high. That's good. It looks like Coma Sola is almost a shoo-in for a colony. Oh man, accessibility 9, 1, 1, 1.6. That's great. Might as well just create a colony on that immediately just to store it. And I think Coma Sola is actually pretty close in our system. So I don't need to create a colony on it yet. It would prevent... Okay, the thing you do want to do sometimes is preempt... Actually, it doesn't have any of the resources that the civilians go after. Civilians go after Sorium and Duranium. So it doesn't have either of those, so it's not actually going to be subject to a civilian colony, as far as I know. Yeah, we're not great on Tritanium either. Boronite, at least we have some amount on Mars, which is good because we'll be mining that. Mercassium. I thought we had one on the big planets. Oh, we have 0.1 on Venus. Okay, that's nothing. Vendorite, I don't really know what Vendorite's... I don't remember what Vendorite's used for. Mercury had... forget that, 0.1. Enk has a good 90,000. So does Van Beesbroek. Sorium. Okay, so we have Mercury... What? Wait, have we done research? I mean, have we surveyed Saturn and Jupiter? This must be... Surely this is a bug. I mean, Mercury's awesome, 1.8 million. We're not going to run out of Sorium, very quickly with that much, but there's always... Okay, go back to the system body. There's always resources. There's always gas, Sorium on the gas giants. Have we completed research, or have a survey? Okay, we did Uranus, and that has 100,000. We haven't completed Saturn. Okay, that's probably where it is. We have done Jupiter and it doesn't have anything. Well, that's unfortunate, but c'est la vie. And I guess that's going to wrap us up. So we'll just be keeping these episodes nice and super long. If anybody... I think I want to try to make them more like 40-minute things, but right now I feel like I'm always trying to get so much done in an episode and I never even get it done, so I just stretch out the episode time, which doesn't make sense, but there it is. So I think we still got a fair amount accomplished. 2/3, 3/4 of the Sol system is now explored in terms of geological survey. We're well on our way to getting the freighter and the colony ship out. Those should be done next turn. And other than that, I think we're just making good, steady progress. So in this video, I think we didn't even go a full year, but that's partly due to me really enjoying seeing our survey ship zip around. And if you don't enjoy that kind of stuff, I don't know. I really enjoy this game because of just seeing my little survey ship zip around all the different asteroids. It's fun for me. So anyways, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more in the next video.